Welcome back, NBA fans. Today's the draft. Before I get into it, today's broadcast is sponsored by Reign Energy Drinks. 300 milligrams of caffeine, and it's just like, the greatest thing to ever happen. Not actually sponsored by them at all, but I drink more than any other human being on the planet Earth, so I might as well be. Slide into my DMs on Instagram, Reign, at Greg Melly. Anyway, today's video is going to be nice and short since nothing has really happened in the past day or so. I woke up to a lot of rumors about how Daryl Morey today, again, is going to refuse to break up the Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid combo. And I saw that the Sixers are becoming increasingly worried about how they cannot trade for James Harden without including Ben Simmons. And they don't want to do that. And personally, I love that. I don't want to trade for a 31-year-old aging superstar who, don't get me wrong, is better than anyone at what he does when it comes to scoring the basketball. But I'm not going to trade Ben Simmons, who's a rising NBA star, right? And he's one of the best defenders in the league. I mean, how many times have I talked about how much I love Ben Simmons? I'm not making that deal. I don't want Harden that bad. Don't get me wrong, I don't want him to go to Brooklyn, but I don't want Philly to trade away Joel Embiid or Ben Simmons for him. Because it didn't work in Houston, it's not going to work in Philly. And then I saw how Daryl Morey is working on trying to have like a substantial deal. He's trying to make a substantial deal now without including Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid. And see, the first thing that came to my head was, okay, so Harden is the ultimate superstar level. He's A-list, right? The next closest thing to him, I would probably have Bradley Beal, right? I'm going to have Beal as like a B-plus tier. And then I'm thinking, all right, maybe Morey's interested in Bradley Beal, but I don't think the Sixers have anything they can get rid of to actually bring on Bradley Beal, unless we're ready to have the fleece of a century and give him Al Horford. And not with the new Wizards regime. Maybe their last GM, who's the worst, we could have gotten rid of Al Horford for Bradley Beal, but that's not a good enough deal to take Beal off of their hands. No shot. So I'm thinking, who's next? Who's like the tier right underneath them? Somebody that could fit the Sixers perfectly well. Obviously, Buddy Hield comes to mind. Now, Buddy Hield makes sense for a million different reasons that I've talked about so many times that I don't feel like I need to rehash right now in this video. But I thought, all right, we can get rid of Al Horford, obviously. We can get rid of the first pick we have this year, the 21st pick. The more I research this draft, the more I like keeping this pick. Though I do think the Sixers trade the pick no matter what tonight. I think they either move up or they move back. But I think they trade the pick. I personally think they'll probably move up for maybe a guy like Aaron Nesmith or Sadiq Bey. Maybe they're afraid that Desmond Bane's pre-draft hype is crazy and he goes a little higher than expected, and they trade up a pick or two like they did last year for like what they did with Matisse Thybulle. So maybe in order to get Hield, it's going to be Horford, that pick, and a future first round if protected. Is that going to be enough? I don't know. I mean, I've been saying that exact deal for like a month now, I feel like, and maybe if there was some serious traction of that, it would have happened by now. But that's what I thought of after Bradley Beal. And then I started thinking a little bit more of it, right? I started thinking, Zach LaVine, right? I mean, he averaged, 25 points a game last year. He seems like a pretty perfect fit of what the Sixers need right now to complement Simmons and Embiid, and I think you could possibly get him without trading one or the other. Definitely without trading one or the other, because I think Ben Simmons and Embiid are substantially better basketball players than Zach LaVine. I like Zach LaVine, though. Now, the question is, what will it take to get him? I think maybe they're in a part of the universe, maybe we can trade Al Horford, we can trade Matisse Thybulle, we can trade this year's first-round pick and a future first-round protected. Maybe that is sweet enough to get the deal done. I kind of think it might be. I think LaVine's really good. I think his stats are inflated because of playing on the Chicago Bulls last year, but also He played well with the worst coach in the NBA I've ever seen. And I watched Brett Brown coach for way too long. So that says something. LaVine is a seriously good scorer. Defensively, he's not the best, but he's not terrible. And he's a great complementary shooter for Simmons. I think he can work off ball more than he does in Chicago, but he can also be our go-to fourth quarter scorer that we need. I love Zach LaVine. I think it's an awesome fit, and he's a crazy athlete. Just imagine the fast breaks of Ben Simmons and Zach LaVine just throwing alley-oops to each other. Oh, my God, dude. Sign me up for season tickets for the next 8 years because I will be there. Coronavirus and everything. I don't know if I can say that on YouTube, but anyway, I think LaVine is a perfect fit. Now, whether or not Morey thought of LaVine as I did, obviously, I have no idea. But I think it's a doable trade. And if not, maybe Tobias Harris, get rid of Tobias Harris instead of Horford. But obviously, I don't want to do that. I like Tobias Harris. I think he's a good player. I think he's going to have a good year, at least a better year than he did last year. He was hurt just like Ben Simmons was and Embiid was with the spacing of the floor. I don't think Tobias Harris is a 3. I think Tobias Harris is a stretch 4. I think he works really well as a pick-and-roll player. And we never ran pick-and-roll last year, but now we have a coach who understands who Tobias Harris is as a player, and he's going to make him good again. Make Tobias Harris good again. I'm all on board for that. But I think LaVine is a pretty perfect trade that we can do. Now, whether or not Chicago is willing to do that, I don't know. Like, is Chicago willing to bring on Al Horford when they already have Wendell Carter Jr. and Lauri Markkanen at the 4 and the 5? I don't know. But again, Chicago is a ways away of competing. I think Horford can bring some solid mentorship to a team like that. And he's not a bad player. Like, Al Horford isn't bad. He's still good. He still has something in the tank. Now, is he $108 million good? Of course not. But Elton Brand and the Sixers organization had never could understand talent if it smacked him in the face. So, I mean, obviously, I don't think he's worth that much, but I still think he's a good player. Now, I think his trade value is not going to be as great because of his contract, but, I mean, he still has some trade value. Now, maybe they take Tobias instead. It would work better. But then I was seeing rumors about how the Bulls might move up to number 2 to grab LaMelo or Wiseman and trade Wendell Carter and the 4th pick, which seems like a lot to me, right? It just doesn't make sense personally, but I don't know. So, I mean, I'm interested. Hopefully the Sixers can pull off some miraculous draft night trade of Zach LaVine and not really get rid of too much. And then the question becomes, like, would we trade Shake Milton? Personally, I don't want to trade Shake Milton. I like Shake Milton. I think Shake Milton's a good player. I'd rather trade Thibault, probably. And that says a lot because I love Thibault. I mean, he's one of the NBA's elite defenders, and he's been in the league for how many games? 60? How many games was it last year, right? So, but the most I've taken out from today is just don't trade Ben. Don't trade JoJo. Don't trade for James Harden. If you can somehow steal Bradley Beal or Zach LaVine away from those teams without getting rid of one of those two, you do it. Every time you do it. I don't care what you have to do. Look what Milwaukee just did. Milwaukee just traded first rounders until 3005 for Drew Holiday. Which, I mean, come on. So if they're willing to give everything they got to win a championship right now, I think that sets the bar for where the Sixers need to be and how the Sixers need to look. So I'm looking forward to it. I cannot wait for draft night. Hopefully something happens before then so I can make another video. If not, I will be stay tuned to the draft. I'll probably send out an immediate response or reaction after the draft, throw it right up on my YouTube channel. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll see everyone at some point today. Peace. Go Sixers.